Hey friends, I'm back. This is episode 7 of season 1 of Bloom for Jesus. Today's title is called Testimony, Graduating with My Professional Master's Degree in Commercial Law and Some Reflections Post-Graduation. So, today I have another testimony to share. I hope you can remember, but 2 episodes ago, I shared a testimony of getting accepted for my master's degree and having to leave a permanent job to pursue this long-term heart's desire of mine. Well, today I'm here to share that I finally graduated with my master's in commercial law. This milestone isn't just another milestone or achievement to me, it's an accumulation of years of hard work, sacrifices, rejections, failures, setbacks, perseverance, and of course, believing in myself, believing in God, and this desire. I won't go into too much detail of how this desire started, as I already spoke about it, like I said, 2 episodes ago. So if you haven't listened to it, then please do yourself a favor to go listen to it now before you listen to this one. Or it depends if you want to listen to this one first and then go back to the other one to get the full picture of the testimony. Sometimes we don't know how things will come to pass, and eventually God brings it to pass. Obviously, if it's in His will also. And you will find yourself right in the middle of an answered prayer. And I always also say that an answered prayer it doesn't come without its challenges. Your promised land doesn't come without its challenges. Just know that it comes with it and there's a reason for it, because this is what God wants for you. During December, I was so anxious before my results were released. It was released so close to Christmas, so, that's not perfect timing. In my anxious moment, I prayed and I kept listening to worship music to calm me down for the days leading up to the releasing of the results. So my graduation day was nothing short of amazing. I got to spend it with special people and I felt supported and celebrated on that day. From not finding a dress back home to finding the perfect dress for me in Cape Town, color and size. I was so worried about that too. To finally finding a baker for my cake who really baked and made it exactly like the inspo example that I sent. And this just also showed me that God is in the details. He's in all the details of our lives, the tiny details, the big details. He really cares about it all. As much as I felt celebrated and supported on that day by friends and loved ones, I didn't feel completely supported by some friends and family. So it was obviously a bit disappointing to me, because I have always been the one who claps for other people and celebrate them. Had some friends and family, especially, close extended family, who saw me posting some graduation content on my stories and profile and didn't care to reach out to me. I have to admit that it obviously really disappointed me a lot in that moment, that it took some time to get over when I got back home. But I realized that when you elevate and you accomplish hard-fought, hard-earned milestones in your life, there will always be some people who don't celebrate you back like you did or do for them. And I guess that's part of growing up as a person and as a Christian. It just shows us that people's true feelings towards you and who you should people's true feelings towards you, it shows. And it also shows you who you should distance yourself from, even sometimes your own, extended family or close friends. And it's not about affirmation or, looking for validation. It has nothing to do with that. It's just, I feel as a person, when you know that you are the type of person to really be supportive of other people, you, probably expect that maybe they will. But it's not the end of the world. I feel like it's important to focus on the people who do support you and who claps for you and who's in your corner, you know. One of the few verses I used to stand on throughout the years and still to this day is Luke 1 verse 45 that says, "Blessed is she who has believed that there will be a fulfillment of those things which were told to her from the Lord." And I'm sure you can replace the word she with he as well, but that's how it reads in the Bible. It says she. There are other verses that I obviously also used over the years to encourage myself and during my studies when I was in this long waiting preparation, pruning, refining type of phase in my life. But this specific verse really was one of the top verses that I really felt I would cling on to and hold on to until this desire comes to pass and until God fulfills it. Although I achieved this big milestone, my life isn't perfect in any way, don't get me wrong, or anything like that. There's still things that I'm waiting on God for and that I'm trusting Him for to this day. And I know I'm being prepared for that which I've asked from Him. I don't have a stable permanent job at the moment, but yet God continues to always provide when I need it the most. Just like He did when He provided me a temporary job end of January and I started early Feb. And He knew that I had to save and to plan for my graduation and obviously some other personal monthly expenses that I, needed God's provision for. Sometimes we get to focus on what we don't have yet or haven't achieved or attained yet, losing focus on what we have already. Not just what we have accomplished, but the journey that we have walked, like how far we are today, and you just basically compare to where you were. Sometimes we get so focused on the destination and not so much on the journey. I've learned to surrender. Over the years, I've learned to surrender, and my faith has always been stretched. I feel more so the past 2 years since I started with my studies. It has been stretched on a whole nother level that I'm not used to. It's uncomfortable to basically get it up until that point. Sometimes I fall short, obviously because I'm human and I miss it, but then I have to get up and try again. So this testimony is marked by authenticity, rawness, God's faithfulness and provision, about God caring for each of our heart's desires and bringing them to pass in the right time. Like I said, as long as it's aligned with God's will for your life, then there's no reason that He won't give it to us in the right time, of course. It's about overcoming adversity, about persevering, enduring through failures and rejections and setbacks and delays. The interesting thing of this testimony is just to also throw it in here. So the university that I just graduated from, I previously also applied to years ago for an undergrad degree, but let's just focus on postgrad that I applied to for. So I applied for the same course. I applied, when was it? During COVID time? I don't remember. I think end of 2021, or let's say, early 2022, because obviously it was new applications for that year, for 2023, of course. So I applied to 2 other universities, including this university. I was rejected by one, and I got into 2 of the universities, both really good universities. And one of the verses that also obviously usually sticks out for me is Ephesians 3 verse 20, that basically says that God will give us exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ever imagine or think of. So the university that rejected me, I thought that I would get into it, or alternatively, the other university. It didn't happen that way, and I got accepted into the other two. And then I obviously had to make a decision between the two universities, as they are both such good universities. But then God came in and He gave me the best of it all. And it was the university that I graduated from. But like I said, I did actually apply in 2021 during COVID. And end of 2021, I got feedback. I wasn't successful. I couldn't understand. I basically emailed the admissions office and I'm like, I don't understand. I have my post-admission experience. I'm an admitted attorney. I have my couple of years of experience. I'm not like a fresh, person that comes from high school and basically, applying for the first time to get into university. Obviously, I know rejections are part of life, but I felt that I could have got in and I didn't. Then came 2022. Like I said, I applied to 3 universities and I thought, the other 2, I'll probably get into them. And I thought, I wasn't sure whether I'll get into the third one that I basically did end up going with because of the previous year's rejection. It was still kind of, fresh in my mind. So I think I applied halfway to it and didn't finalize my application. This is now with the third university. And I kept getting emails from the university, like reminding me to complete my application, where you obviously do a whole motivational letter with both of your choices. So my first option was commercial law, master's in commercial law. The second one was master's in intellectual property. I guess I mustered up the courage and the strength close to the closing date, and I wrote my motivation letters. I submitted it, didn't think anything of it. I thought okay, no, the 2 other universities, I'm probably going to get into them. Fast forward, I got my acceptance, and when the first acceptance came through that Friday evening, before that, I don't know, for some reason, I felt so at peace that day. I felt like it was even raining. I was going after work, went to the salon, and I just felt so at peace. After that, I came home. My mom and I was talking in the living room, and then this email comes through this Friday evening. I can remember the date even. I think it was the 22nd of October 2022, and I was so amazed. I was just so amazed. And I got accepted, obviously, for my first choice. The second one, they had to withdraw because I was already accepted on my first choice. I was so amazed because I knew I was rejected the previous year, and it just almost felt so unexpected, so almost unreal. And I realized, and I just knew that it's really true when it comes to God's timing. There's a place and a time for everything, different seasons. So maybe when I got the rejection end of 2021, I wasn't supposed to go 2022, but actually 2023, which obviously did happen. And I was having the same reflection post-graduation as well, where I realized it's really true, God's timing really is the best. We don't always understand it. And I don't know if you know, but like I said 2 episodes ago, I explained how this desire started, when it happened, and, initially when the desire started, I was still a university student, and I think it was around about 2013 sometime. And just to think that I only ended up going early 2023. Basically, almost 10 years later. this desire took place. And I mean, anyone could have given up. We're all humans through that 10 years. But at some point I thought, okay, maybe God doesn't want me to pursue my master's, and maybe I must just make peace with it. So I left it, life went on, and then the desire came back again 2021. And I tried again, and I got rejected again. But came 2022, I felt like there were signs or confirmations along the way that totally just confirmed to me that no, this is what I want for you. Like, there's a reason this desire keeps coming back. There's a reason why you feel so strongly about it, even though the proof, the evidence is not physically there. That's what faith is. And I told myself, okay, 2022, this is the last time I'm trying for masters, and if it's not happening again, then I have my answer, and I just have to make peace with it. And then things change. And then the next day, the second acceptance came through from the other second good university, and I ended up having to make a decision between the two, and it was also so tough because at some point in the past I also wanted to go to the other university. So that's just to give a little background, interesting background. Sorry it went on longer than I thought it would, but I just had to share that I graduated from a university that I was previously rejected from for the same course. I tried again as a last attempt, and here I am today. I got accepted, I graduated, and God provided. I've learned that a dream delayed doesn't always mean a dream denied. And I've had a few other examples in this law journey of mine when I graduated the first time, my undergrad degree. That in itself was also a testimony because I experienced a lot of resistance and just some setbacks. And then post-grad, my justice training course was the same thing. God admitted not on the time that I wanted to, but later than I would want it to. But God provided, and I got admitted. And the same goes for my master's degree. And there's other areas of your life, even personal areas, that you can basically say that you were not denied. It wasn't God's timing, but now it is. It's just amazing to come to that realization. So one of the important things as a Christian is that you always have to discern and ask God what each answer means. Remember, God answers in 3 ways: yes, no, or not yet. So you have to discern whether it's a yes, whether it's a complete no, or it's just like a not yet, and that will show you in what season you are currently. So you basically have to ask God what each answer means, and you also know when to try again, knock on the same doors again, and when to move on to new doors if those specific doors don't want to open after some time. God's presence and guidance is so extremely important in our lives as Christians, dear friends. We need to pray and discern different seasons of our lives. We should not rely on our own understanding, as the verse says. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. We should not rely on our own understanding, dear friends, or that of other people to guide us. I know sometimes we have close family and friends that mean well, they give us advice, and sometimes it really is good advice, but they don't know what God is busy doing in your life. They can't see the end from the beginning, even though they mean well. And then obviously there's people that they just don't give good advice, So you should just know when to block out outside noise or advice and just seek God for what you need to seek Him for. We won't always see the entire steps until we start taking them and stepping out in obedience. This journey requires obedience. It requires taking risks, and I always call it godly risks, because it's risks that God leads you to take, not rebellious risks, but risks that God, can I say, nudges you to take. And there's a reason for it. Our comfort zones and fear will cost us and not bring us to the life we desire. This is what this testimony, this episode is about, dear friends. Unfortunately, I've come to the end of the episode, but I just had to share this testimony with you. I hope to eventually record some video episodes once I get the hang of my equipment, and once I get the hang of YouTube as a platform and how to maneuver it. But until the next episode, please do subscribe and follow my social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. The podcast is on Facebook, of course. We have a Facebook page. There's an Instagram page called @Bloom4Jesus. And you will also find the podcast on Spotify called Bloom for Jesus. And then on Anchor, but Anchor, it was previously known as Anchor. It's now known as Spotify for Creators. You also find the podcast on there. So I hope that this episode could serve as some form of encouragement to you. And I hope you'll stay tuned in for the next episode. Bye, friends. Until next time.